today?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So what got you into what you do? What got you into it?
Personal finance.
Yeah.
My career was always IT. I was usually in the back office. So I did IT project management. I was a Scrum Master, program manager, assistant. I mean, you named it. The engineers used to call me the cat herder because I was really good at getting people from different departments and come together, all go in the same direction. And I was very good at that, but it wasn't my passion. But I met some really wonderful people along the way in that career. And I was married, I had a couple of kids, the American dream of, buy a house and kids and all that kind of stuff. And then, life happens and we went through a divorce. My kids were 3 and 5. And I ended up with the marital debt, and the marital debt was $257,000. Half of that was the mortgage, and the other half I call other because it's a bit of a hodgepodge of things. And I did that because I wanted the house and I wanted the kids to be with me most of the time. And so to do that, that's where I ended up. But then 2008 rolled around, and then I basically everything that we agreed to 2008 made everything half, and so I couldn't afford to sell the house. I ended up losing my job, and so things got really serious. And it there's nothing like you can limp along. Things aren't so bad. You can limp along, and then things get to the point where you can't bear it anymore. And that is where I started learning how to manage the money in a more conscientious way. And I started doing a lot of reading, listening to podcasts, listening to reading other people's blogs. And I started to teach myself how to manage my finances, and I wanted to get out of debt. And the whole thing really started with my why. Why is this going to be so important all of a sudden? Because up until then, we were two incomes, we had two good salaries, we both had family overseas. We would travel, we went out to dinner, we hosted dinners. I mean, we didn't really pay it too much attention because we both made good money. But then when you don't have that, and not only are you not making two salaries, you're only making one, but on top of that, you lose your job, and that happened 3 times the first 5 years after divorce. You have to get really creative. And so I was selling furniture out of the house. I was cooking for people. I was dog sitting. I mean, you name it. I was finding ways to kind of bridge the gap in between jobs. And that's really where I learned a lot about personal finance and managing my money.
Right. And me and Alex both definitely understand that because I
Oh,
mean life is a struggle. And even when we were in a relationship, it was like we were the main providers of our house.
yep.
Okay.
And I mean financials is hard. You can make really good money but still be broke.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's what I tell my kids all the time. It really doesn't, it almost doesn't matter how much you make, because if you make 10,000 or 100,000, but if you spend it all, well, you still have zero,
Right.
And so learning to stretch those dollars to take advantage and make the most out of it, so important. And then I'm sure because you guys are single parents, you probably started with, I mean, I don't want to go forward like this anymore, and I want
Oh
to
yeah.
make it better, not just
Right.
for me, but I want to make it better for the kids. And I want them to see that, you can survive and thrive, and learn the tools and fill that toolbox with things that make sense for you to be able to move forward.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
And that why, for me, pulled me forward in a way that having goals, which was my second step. So I had my why
Hmm.
of I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be reliant on unemployment, a paycheck, or anything. I don't want to be reliant on that. And so that propelled me to learn to discipline myself to pay myself first. So
Right.
important. And the other thing is that once I had that why of, okay, this is what I want to do, I started setting goals. Or did you guys set goals?
Not yet, no.
Are you
Uh-uh.
not goal setters?
Not
No,
yet. Like we just pay our bills and that's the end of it.
I
Ah,
mean,
okay.
you
So,
might not have goals, but I have a few goals already in mind. So my kid's a junior right now in high school.
okay.
So my first short-term goal is by summertime, after he has his license, I'm getting him a car. So
Yes.
that's my first goal for him. He wants to do work over the summer, so providing himself his own car, paid for, whether I buy it cash or make payments on it. That's another thing I gotta look into. And I want that to be a reliable vehicle for him, so because he's going to college immediately after high school. So that way he wants to work, save his own money, so he can do his own things, get his own apartment when he graduates next year. And then I'm looking into scholarships because he's a really smart kid, so he's on a lot of honor roll all year round.
Hmm.
He's an NHA, NHS, which is National Honor Society.
That's
He's qualified
fantastic.
for a lot of grants and a lot of scholarships.
Hmm.
So just trying to figure out each one of them that will fit for what college he's going for. Most of my goals is just mostly about getting him set up to succeed in the future. Not necessarily my own goals for myself. I mean, as long as I get him started, I know I'll recover financially and be able to provide better. I might change career paths after he goes off to college, so that way I'm not. Because most of my time when I'm working, it's literally just been all about the family. I'll take care of the house, take care of the kid, and don't worry about any of my own wants or needs, kind of thing. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is I'm setting all these goals to make sure he gets a good start, and then
Hmm.
after that, I'll refocus on what matters most to me. Obviously, while still providing that security for him.
I hear you. Yeah, I will say, and I did the same thing. Was everything was about the kids and
Mhm.
getting us in a good, stable situation, kids and that. And I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about what did I want, what do I want to do moving forward. And so I will say that if I could go back to spend a little bit of time of figuring that out and give myself that, like, hey, you're putting in a lot of work here too,
Right.
and have that for yourself. Especially, I love that you're already thinking about you want to change careers and do other things, and I love that you're open to those things. A lot of times, I meet people, especially when I do my coaching, that they come to me and they say, I would get a divorce tomorrow, but it can't afford it. It's too expensive. I'll never be able to quit this job, because they make such good money, and they don't realize that if you just set things up a little bit different and make yourself some income streams, that things can be. You don't have to stay in this situation.
Oh yeah.
I also think sometimes you stay in a situation because it's not so bad. Like you can
Right.
just kind of limp along in there a little bit. The first time I started setting goals, um, I used to do them, but I wasn't very good at them. I was more lose weight, but
Yep.
that didn't really mean anything. And so after the divorce, I decided, okay, I'm going to try it again. And I started doing those SMART goals, specific, measurable, that. And so I wrote myself a list of goals. It was January, and I thought, okay, this will last me the whole year. And then March came along, and I finished all the goals.
Wow.
And it was kind of crazy. And I thought, well, geez, what am I going to do now? I've got 9 more months. So I thought, you know what? I'll make myself another list. And so I did. I made myself another list doing the SMART goals. And I finished those off in 3 months. And it taught me a really big lesson. It taught me that I was playing small
Oh
my
yeah.
whole life. I was just playing small, and that I never took the time to take a step back and think about what am I really capable of, to really challenge myself to see what can I really do. It was kind of like, when Superman learns to fly. It was like, wow,
Right.
I had no idea. And so I started, now when I do goals, I make them completely outrageous and outlandish, and it's amazing how far
Hmm.
I've gotten in a short period of time. So I
Right.
will I will share that's been a big eye opener for me.
Oh yeah.
That's great. And you have written a book.
Yes, I
Oh,
did.
Yeah, we bought a copy.
You have a copy? Yeah, I've got my copy here. I know, Alex, you got to get yourself a copy.
I've already got it ordered right now. So I
Did
literally,
you? Okay.
I literally was
Yeah.
looking at it right now. I'm like, oh, Sean, thanks for telling me she's got a book. And then I went and ordered it.
Nice. Nice.
So
So I won't spoil, but I will tell you
Well,
just
I
a little
mean,
bit.
you can spoil as much as you want because
Okay.
I'll reread it probably like 20 times just to,
You,
diverge all the information.
I
right,
love that. I'll tell you. So it's been interesting and humbling because I wrote this book and I wrote it for single parents because it's my journey, my 10 years, right?
Mhm.
Getting from the divorce, the quarter million debt, and then 10 years later, getting to financial independence. So
Oh,
not just getting out of debt, but getting to financial independence
right.
where I could consider quitting my job. And I wrote the story and I did it in years, and then I grouped the years into phases so that other people can make their own journey to get to whatever their definition of financial independence is. And that's something that a lot of people don't think about, when
right,
we're in our 30s, heck, even in 40s, in 20s, we don't think about retirement because it seems so far away.
right,
But the truth of the matter is that, and especially in this day and age, retirement and financial independence, these things can be anything you define it to be.
Mhm.
I mean, I
right,
meet people that they love their job. They are financially independent, but they love what they do. They just want to cut their hours back, but they're still going to do it. Then I have other people who they do their job because they're good at it. They make good money, and they're going to make enough to, retire
Mhm.
their definition. But what they're going to do is get part-time work and go do that, or they're going to travel for a year and then settle into, whatever it is that matters to them. And taking that time to think about, well, what does financial independence mean to me? What does retirement mean to me? Do I really want to wait until I'm in my 60s? I mean,
Right.
there's pros and cons to all of it, right? But there's just we never had so much opportunity to build income streams, whether they're passive or active or semi-passive,
Mhm.
and it really is just such an exciting time. But I will say, so I wrote this book. I wrote it for single parents, published it, but I have people periodically that reach out to me, and on LinkedIn they look me up and they'll send me a note, or Facebook or whatnot.
right,
And I've had married couples come to me and say, "I love your book. My husband and I are reading it, and we love it. We book so they'll read so like phase one, and they put a little bookmark there, and they tell me they're like, we have never had such open and honest conversations, and we use the words like retirement or financially independent, these words that we use, but we find that we're not using the same definitions,
right,
or the same timeline, or vacation. For one person, vacation could be a long weekend at the beach, and for the other person it could be 3 weeks in Italy. um, and so so it's been very humbling to see the different ways that people use the book. But yeah, I just it was my way of kind of giving back and showing, especially single parents, that yes, it's very hard, and yes, it's a lot of work, but it's not, you're not going to be like this forever.
my
um,
my favorite part of the book is that you personalized it. You made it personal.
yeah.
And it's so awesome reading a book like that, you know? It's better than reading a book that just says, "Hey, go do this, this, and this, and this." No, you actually shared your story and
Yes.
throughout the book, and it's just been like a really good read because of that, you know? A
Thank
really
you.
good eye opener. So definitely props to the book.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I try to make it, I mean, like it can be serious at times, but I try to make it a little funny or light in areas, or where you can just kind of feel the, oh, what's going to happen next kind of thing.
Yeah, you definitely did a great job with it. And
Thank you. Thanks.
everybody, you got to get yourself a copy because it's definitely a good read and does help you out. It is a helpful book. So
Fantastic. Thank you.
really good book.
Yeah.
And where can people go to find that book?
It's on Amazon and on barnesandnoble.com. You can find them there. And then you can, if you're in Raleigh, you can find them at the book at the library as well.
Now, have you did any book signings or anything with that?
Only
Okay,
local here in North Carolina. I've done
okay,
book signings.
but that's
Yeah.
good though. I mean, that gets your book out there.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's really cool. Yeah,
You know,
we've talked to another author and that's what they didn't do, and it's like, dude, you gotta do a book signing. No matter even if you do it local, like, you do that book signing because it gets you out there. It
yeah.
lets people read you, yeah, so, can you share a success story from one of your clients?
Yes. Well, the success stories, it's kind of interesting because people that come to me, they're ready. They're ready to do something different. And so success is going to be very defined by what they came to me for.
Right,
But I did have somebody recently who came to me. They've divorced. Their a child is in college, so they live alone. They don't have a pet or anything like that. And they came to me and they said, I don't have a mortgage. I have a little bit of credit card debt, and I'm paycheck to paycheck, and I just don't understand what's happening. You know, she swore she never goes out, she never does anything, and yet there's never any money, and now she's got this credit card debt, and she's like feels like it's not, it's not going well. So she hired me to come and sit and go through her finances. And so we do a whole we calculate her net worth. I go through the cash flow analysis, and I usually do a minimum of 3 months worth. We also look at credit score and credit history, and I showed her how, not only how do you calculate these things, but why it's important and what are the little nuggets of data that we're looking for. Cash flow is one of those things that, people, you say budget and people go, oh, stop, I don't want to listen to this anymore. But I don't
right,
like to talk about budgeting so much as talk about the cash flow. So when I work with somebody, I tell them, don't change your habits, just keep living your life the way you do. I want to see baseline where your money is going.
Right.
right,
And we talk about, right, Alex, you have your goals, right? You have
Mhm.
your goals of things that are important to you. But what people find, and this is what she found, is that when I looked at her cash flow and I looked at what was important, there was this big Grand Canyon hole because she was spending $550 dining out
Mm.
per month for
mm,
one person, and then 600 on average that was going to travel expenses.
Mm.
And it's just like little things that add up. She goes to see her child in college. She takes a little mini weekend cruise with her girlfriends.
right,
Little things that they're not big things, but $600, I mean, a month. And so I told her, I mean, in those two things, this is an opportunity where you can just cut back on that, or
yep,
even just for 1 month, don't go out to dinner, which I know that wasn't going to happen.
Mm.
But, because she values dining out. That is something it brings her such joy to go out and try different foods from different cultures and different restaurants in the area. It brings her pleasure. So I don't want to take that away from her. But the point is that you show people where the opportunities are. Because the truth is that even I, who've been doing this for a long time, I'll spend money and I go, I wish I didn't do that. But it's not about, shaming a person or judging them. It's about just understanding where the money is going. And every
right,
client that I get, I will say the one thing that they have in common is when they come to me, it's because they want to do something different. They want to have financial independence. They don't want to live paycheck to paycheck anymore. And then we'll work together, and they're all excited. Maybe about a week or two into it, they're like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to know how much debt I have. I don't want to know how much I'm actually spending. And it becomes very scary. And that fear sometimes can get them to stop. And so that's my job as a coach, to help them through that and then rip that Band-Aid off. And every single person, this is the process they go through. When we finally get to looking at cash flow, where the opportunities are, where we can bridge that gap so that the money is being spent to things that are actually important,
Mhm.
when they start to see that and they can see where the opportunities are to get rid of debt, and that, where do we go from there,
Right.
they all say the same thing. I wish I worked with you a year ago, 5 years ago. I wish I did this. My life would be so different now. And, it's kind of like planting a tree, right? People say, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time? Today.
Mhm.
right,
Finances are the same way. So when we talk about, success stories, that is a very common one where they can see how they can gain control. They actually get excited about looking at their money, watching it grow, and I give a lot of tools around that to continue that excitement. Um, but for her, she was able to find that money right away and get out of debt within months. And then from there, she was able to build her finances. So it's exciting when a person, because my job is education, really, you know. And so it's nice when a person, you can see that little light bulb moment, and you know, and then sometimes I have people come back and they say, okay, I'm ready for another conversation. I got as far as I could. Everybody's got their journey,
Right.
and so for me, it's meeting them where they are and helping them to get to the next level. Uh,
Right.
It's very rewarding, the work I
That,
do.
that's awesome. I mean, it's really good. You seem very passionate about this, and
Yes,
that's great.
I absolutely love what I do. I love it. And the nice thing is I find people, I'm reasonably priced compared to going to a financial advisor, because financial advisor, that's a long-term relationship. When
Yeah.
you work with me, it's a short-term relationship. I know I did my job when you fire me,
Yeah.
because you got this. You can see, you got those financial muscles where you'll know how to, when my son goes to college, you can see where the opportunities are, what to do next, and that's what I want. I want people to know that it's not just one way to do anything.
Mhm.
um, and I just, yeah, I do, I love it. I love it so much, and then I pass them off to the financial advisor. Everything I do, I pass all that, and the financial advisor, it's a money saving for the client,
Right.
um, and it's time saving for the financial advisor, because they don't have to go through the basics. They have a true understanding of where this person is emotionally about money, how they handle it, where they want to go, what their goals are, and so they can start looking at what the investments look like. Yeah,
Mhm.
so
Right.
it's fun.
So when you're doing this, like, what do you look at? Do you look at like setting up a savings account or getting more like into the stock market type of investments?
Yeah,
Um,
so when I do this, everybody's different. I don't give financial advice. That's not my area.
right.
Yeah, so that's not for me. But you know, if they don't have an emergency fund, we definitely look to set that up. We talk about sinking funds. And so those that don't know what a sinking fund is, it's like the idea of paying yourself first. And so when you get your paycheck, Uncle Sam paid themselves. You
Yes.
got federal, you got state in most places, Social Security, all of that whole list. Well, that is the government paying themselves first
Yep.
before you
Yeah.
get anything.
Yeah. From you. Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea is when you have sinking funds, you can set up, like Ally Bank has it, so you can set up one account, but you can have it broken up to 20 different, mini accounts under that. And you can label it vacation, car,
Okay.
college,
Okay.
like whatever these short term things are. And then your paycheck, instead of just going into one account, you can have it parceled out so that all of those accounts get paid every month. And then by the time that, next year when you need those tires, you've got that money saved up. So it's not this big hit. You
Right.
just
Right.
have that money. And for a lot of people, especially people who are visual learners, it's they can see that. So it really helps with their anxiety of knowing, oh my God, I've got to come up with $1,000 for these tires, but they can see, oh, I have this money, or hey, we're going to do this vacation, but I already saved up $3,000. And so,
Right.
your money is already assigned work,
So,
because money is like, you guys have kids. Money is like children. If you don't
uh,
give it something to do, it's going to go off and get into trouble or leave,
Yeah.
so
right.
you gotta give it something to do.
Now, that's actually a pretty smart way of going about it. Is divesting yourself into different accounts with goals in mind. So that's a pretty good trend to get going into. Like, hey, I want to go on a cruise line this year. So let me open up an account. Let me take 5% of my paycheck, put it directly into that, and reach my goal of 10 grand for that vacation time. Now, because I was scrambling at the end of the year because I had to put new tires on my car. I needed to have a frame repair done on my truck. So it's
Mhm.
like, I had all this stuff coming out. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna get all this. I got to scramble all of a sudden because I separated in November. So that was pretty recent. I had all these financial hurdles at the very end of the year. And I was like, of course, it's the holidays, it's Christmas, it's freaking
Mm-hmm.
all this other stuff. And I'm like freaking out the whole time. So yeah, I definitely would have, that would have been a very smart trend to start doing is divesting myself of, just planning ahead of time and just, because, I think one of the biggest things when I was in college and I was in economics, they were always saying, if you don't see it out of your check every week. Like, you put up your different accounts and then you have your living fund and then everything else, then you're not going to be as resentful of not having that money because you're not always in the middle of handling it all the time.
Right.
So,
Yes, exactly. And the other thing I'll say, just to add on to that, to level up, is that when you get your raise or
mhm,
you get a bonus, a lot of times people, that's spent before it even hits your paycheck. And
yeah,
that whole
guilty.
lifestyle
Yep.
creep. Yeah, yeah, very common. Hey, I was there too, so I can't
Yeah.
even say anything. But, it's true. And so, when you know you're going to get that raise,
Mhm.
give yourself that 401k 1% more, increase it. I mean, it's 1%. You don't even feel that. You
Right.
really don't. People are always, they tell me, like, Monica, I'm paycheck to paycheck, I can't even, there's no way I can put more money in my 401k. And I always tell them, like, let's just start, like, dip a toe in, let's just start with 2%. At the bare minimum, get the match, from your company. That's free money that
Right.
you get. Yeah, you get a dollar for dollar match or 50 cents on the dollar. I mean, who gets those returns?
Right.
Look at those things. When you're younger, look at those Roth IRAs and open one of those, because
Yeah.
that money, you pay your tax now, but it grows interest, that interest grows tax free, or if you're a healthy person, another good one that I wish I did earlier was a health savings account. That you put money in, it's pre-tax. When you use that money, it's not taxed. And you can invest that money after the first $2,000. You can invest that money and it can grow, that interest can grow tax free. So
Yeah.
it's three taxes that you don't have to pay. It's like a loophole, you know. I mean, it's fantastic. There's some really great tools out there that you can leverage, that we, a lot of people, they don't even know that it's there. So you know giving yourself those opportunities and starting small, and then just build the confidence. It really is just amazing. It's
Right.
amazing how quickly things can, just like when you spend a couple of dollars here for a soda at the gas station, or a
Yep.
couple of dollars here, when next thing you know, that's $50, and you didn't even do anything. There was a couple of bottles of water and a soda.
Yeah.
But it's the same the other way, when like my mom, she used to be a big poker player. So every Friday night, her and a couple of friends, they would get together and they had this bowl on the side. Everybody would throw in a quarter, and you get a hand, everybody throw in a quarter. Well, twice a year, they would take all of those quarters and they would go out to dinner based on all those little quarters.
Hmm.
Twice a year. No, they didn't have to pay anything. I
Awesome.
mean, it's just little things,
Right.
So,
Yeah. I've set up a Roth IRA. I have one
yeah,
of those. Yeah, I set
love
one
it.
up a while ago. Now Alex did something really smart when him and his girlfriend broke up. Is he started prepping food,
Mhm.
and that's the smartest way to do, because you spend so much money at a gas station.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's crazy. And I seen Alex set that up, and I've tried, but like sometimes I just can't get it down. But that's one of the things I seen Alex do, and I'm like, dude, that's the smartest thing I've seen anybody do.
All I'll say, Sean, I mean, well, because so that was a kind of a happenstance, to be honest with you, because like you, I was always spending money every day at a gas station every morning. As soon as I get in my truck, I go out and get soda, Monster,
Yeah.
something for lunch. But I was gaining a lot of weight, so that was kind of more of a happenstance with the meal prep. Is I was looking at just my own weight loss journey, and I was like, I need to lose X amount of pounds, burn off this fat, and actually get healthier. So one of the ways I figured out doing it is by watching my calories, which in turn made me start meal prepping. So
Mhm.
every Sunday, I cook all my meats, I get everything meal prep for my lunches. Every for every week on a Sunday. My breakfast, everything's controlled, so I'm not stopping every day anymore at a gas station. I'm just going to work, and I'm like, okay, let me go get a Sam's Club card or a BJ's card, and buy stuff wholesale. I'll buy cases of water, I'll buy whatever else. That way, I'm packing away things. I'm not spending all that money up every week, and honestly, that saved me like $250 a month
It does
just off of that.
easily,
Oh,
You know?
easily.
that's found money. See, opportunity.
Hmm.
That's opportunity right there.
And
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah, my
funny.
mom. Oh, go
It's
ahead.
it's funny because Alex didn't look at it as a financial
No, I
gain.
didn't.
He looked at it as a weight loss gain. And I'm like,
Mhm,
Alex, dude, how much money are you saving?
Right.
And Alex is like, oh my God, I'm saving this much money. Because I
mhm.
was big into the stock market, like, and still kind of am. I like playing the stock market. I like putting money into dividends and stuff like that and trying to make my money make money because
Yeah,
that's the only way you can do it in life. So I was
absolutely.
like, Alex, dude, you're saving money right now. You should look like invest your money, put it into somewhere.
I
Um,
didn't I didn't listen though.
and he didn't listen. But he is saving money and able to pay more bills though.
Oh yeah.
So it
Yeah.
definitely helped out doing it, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you've got credit card debt, I mean,
Mhm.
right off the bat, that is something to get rid of right away because
Oh,
credit cards, what are they charging? Anywhere between 12 and 25%.
yeah, interest.
Interest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's a lot of money.
it is.
Mhm.
Nice return for them, but I mean, unless, Visa or MasterCard are your children, they don't need that money, you know.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and so that's a nice chunk of savings right
Right.
there, just to do that much, and that's the thing, when I coach people and we find that way to get out of debt, well, now they have this extra money that they don't have to pay off the
Mhm.
debt. And so that's where they start investing that money, Sean, like you were saying,
Yes.
and looking for dividend stocks or index funds or, like whatever you think it makes you comfortable.
Hmm.
Um, and that is the most important, like I did half index funds and I did half real estate.
That's
But
smart. That's
yeah,
real
but
smart.
not
Yeah.
everybody is into real estate, not everybody has that comfort, it's risk is something that you have, that feeling you have, oh my God, that's really risky. Well, it's only risky if you don't do your homework. I
Mhm.
mean,
Right.
not investing is risky. Working for a paycheck is expensive. I mean,
Right.
there's pros and cons to all of it, right? But working for a paycheck is expensive because Uncle Sam comes along and takes all their
Mhm.
money first,
Mhm.
but you have a business, you get all those deductions first, then you pay tax on what's left.
Right.
Yes.
But when you work for yourself, you have to hustle because if you're not hustling and you're not out there, you're not making any money. It doesn't matter how many hours you put in. When you work for
Mhm.
somebody else, whether you have a bad day, productive or not productive, your paycheck's the same. So, it's half a dozen of one, six of another, they say.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've learned to save some money in certain places, and then I always took that money and put it into the stock market somewhere. And I still do it, like even to this day. Like I always keep a stock market account, because stock market is scary and risky,
And
but
risky.
you got to look at the right stuff, and you have to do like really, really hardcore research on
Yeah,
what you're doing,
yeah,
because I've seen people put a lot of money in and lose a lot of money.
right.
And then I've seen people put money in and they're financially free.
Yes.
So it's two-headed coin. You got to just choose the right thing.
Yeah, and think long term. You have
Mhm.
to think long term. I mean, it's like people, I own my house and they go, "Whoa, well, how much is it worth?" Well, I don't, like if your house, what, when you make money, when you bought it and when you sell it.
Mhm.
That's when you know if you're going to make any money. But in the middle, like when we went through that recession back 2008, 9, if you own a house and you want to sell it, if you can hold on, hold on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait until there's a point where it's increased enough where you can afford to sell it, so you're not losing money. And
Yeah.
that's the thing, is that you've always got to put yourself in a position that you're ready when opportunity comes, you're ready for it. And having cash on hand, is critically important. The other thing people ask me a lot is, well, I don't know, how much should I have in an emergency fund? Well, are you married? Are you single? Do you have kids? Do you not have kids? Do you own a house? Is your job secure? If you lose your job, can you find it? what's going to help you sleep at night. If you are a single parent
Yep.
and you've got children, well, the stakes are pretty high because it's not
Oh,
just you. So you want to have a little extra. And if you don't have job security, you want to have even more set aside. And if you are nervous and can't sleep at night because you don't feel like you have enough, well, then just keep adding in there until you feel like it. But to me,
Right.
the more things you have to cover, the more months you need to
Yes.
to have as far as expenses to be covered. But not only that, think about in the next 12 months, 18 months, think about, does my car need tires? Do I need a new HVAC? Do I, need to whatever? And then on top of your emergency fund of your expenses, add those other things in there so that when that comes up, okay, I don't have work, but you know, I have money to cover me the next 6 months and I can still get my tires. I can
Yes.
still replace that HVAC.
Yeah.
Very, very important.
Do you look at like at least a minimum of like 4 months worth of bills for an emergency fund?
So it depends. If you're working and you feel like you have security, then I would say like, yeah, 3 months should be adequate,
Right.
if you have job security and but if you're a single parent and maybe 6 months is more comfortable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you're a single parent and your kids are little and you're still setting up for college, but you've got braces coming up and you've got soccer and these sports that are, my God, it's like I can't even believe how much these things cost. You got one in daycare, or I mean, like it's
Yeah.
where you are in your life. I mean, your expenses could be like this or they could be like this.
Right.
And so keeping those things in mind, yeah,
Daycare is crazy now. I've
daycare
seen
is,
$250 a week.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
That's
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 cheap. That's cheap.
that's
that's
cheap. Yeah, that's like almost your whole paycheck, Alex.
I mean, my sister has two young ones, and she's paying about 500 a week for just for her two.
for two kids.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's 2 kids. Yeah,
mother of
that's about
pearl.
right. That's about right. Like $250 a week per
I mean,
kid.
and it's a nice, it's a nice daycare, and they do about like 30 kids. So if they're getting charged like that, the person that's providing that daycare service, I'm gonna change jobs to do that. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
Isn't it
I
right?
know, right? Good grief. I mean,
Yeah.
it's great because the teachers don't get paid. That's for sure.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, and it's funny because I have one neighbor. They have three kids, and but they both work,
mhm.
and they think about the husband has the smaller salary
Yep.
than she does, and they do think about him taking a step back. Like if he loses his job, he's kind of like, you know what, that's fine. We can live on her paycheck, and I will stay home with the kids, and then you don't have to worry about paying that
Right.
$500 a week. That's $2,000 in savings.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
and that's the thing. And Sean, you bring up a good point about how much to have in an emergency fund. One thing I did have a young couple come to me, and they were talking about getting married and having kids, and they both work, and they were wondering like, how do you afford bringing a baby into our life if we both work? And I said, one of the things you guys could try to do, because they were living together, is set up a savings account, a separate savings account, and go and look at some of the daycares and see what they're charging, and then just put that money in the savings account for 6 months and just kind of feel that out. Daycare, diapers, think about all of those things that you're going to end up spending every month, and just make yourself a little tally, and then put that aside every month and see how does it feel. But then what's nice is that when they did finally decide to start a family, they had this money set aside. And so when she decided to take some time off and have, the first 3 months, they could just pull from that fund and they didn't lose anything. So lots of different ways to think about it. And I will say those high yield savings accounts still giving around 4% is
Yes.
nice.
Yep.
It's well above inflation, which is what, around like 2 or 2.5 or
Yep.
something.
Yep.
Right.
So,
That's what I tried talking Alex into getting into, the high yield savings accounts,
oh,
because that's
yes,
the smartest way to go.
Oh
You
yeah.
find anything that's giving you a kickback, and go with it, because
yes.
I tried talking Alex into it, and Alex was like, "Yeah, I'll get into it. I'll get into it."
I have my goal set. I know where I'm at right now. It's only the second month of the year. I
Right.
plan on reaching it halfway through the year.
Yeah.
Once I divest myself of a lot of this debt and everything, I have a lot more to put away in
Yes.
savings.
It's
So
funny because Alex is gonna come to me like a little while after this and be like, Sean, what account do I get? What account do I get? I know Alex. It's usually what he does. He usually like, okay, yeah, I got this. And then like a little while later, Alex will come to me, hey Sean, now tell me which one I need to get. Because I always look into stuff like that. I like
Yeah.
watch really smart people too. People that talk about the stock market, people that talk about what to invest in. What was the one guy? I forgot the one guy's name that I used to watch a lot. But yeah, I watch a lot of stock market stuff.
Yeah.
that's
A
kind of
lot.
where
There's a lot, yeah, no, there's a lot of great content out there. There's for especially Alex, since yours is getting ready to launch.
Mhm.
There's a really great website out there called The College Investor,
Okay.
and he's had that site. Such a nice guy. He's had that site for, I don't know, 10, maybe 15 years, and just a lot of great information on there. He's always keeping it updated. Another one that's a lot of fun is Side Hustle Nation. Another
Yeah,
really nice guy. Have you seen that
I
one,
think I've
Sean?
seen that one. I think I've seen that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and all these creative ways that people make money, part-time, full-time,
Mhm.
I mean, just the creativity, it's endless over there,
Yeah.
So those are some good ones if you're a late starter to, like, if you're in your 40s, 50s, or heck, even 60s, and you haven't started saving for retirement. I just did a podcast interview with Catching Up to Fi, and they have a ton of great stories from people who started late and they share their story about why and what they're doing, and just a lot of great content out there. You
Yeah.
guys are doing fantastic. I mean, I think it's great that you guys have this podcast, because I didn't know. I mean, Sean and I had this fantastic conversation when we
Yeah.
first met, and I just, what a community and an industry that you guys, like, that you can bring them all together and come here and provide resources and conversation and camaraderie, and I think it's fantastic.
Right. And we try to find people to help educate the people that we work with as well. Like
Yeah,
you're financial, so you know more about that. And a
yeah,
lot of us are like, hang on, we're going to gas stations, we're spending money on stupid things, and it's like if we took that money and put it away or put this money somewhere else for a little
yeah,
while and just held on to it, it'll get its own money, and we could pay more bills or have more fun. Go on
yes.
trips and vacations and stuff like that. And
Yeah, exactly. And not even just more fun, but you don't have to. I mean, how many times have you heard people go, I'm going on vacation. Oh, I got to pay that vacation off, and they just
yeah,
go into all this credit card debt. But how wonderful would it be if you were just putting money aside every month, and then you came back and that vacation, you just pay for it and you
hmm,
just go about your life? I mean, like, how much freer do you
yeah,
feel? How much, lighter? I mean, that's the thing. People come to me and they think, oh my God, she's a personal finance coach. She's going to be, having me eat rice and beans, and I'm not going to have any fun. And it's going to be, like, I'll be
I'll help.
scrounging for, like, through the trash, right? Yeah, the restaurants and whatnot. And it's not like that. Like, I had a guy who had 3 gym memberships because he is really into working out. Am I going to have 3 gym memberships? No.
yeah,
But we had that conversation, and so we got it down to 2, because he has one close to his house, and he was a bodybuilder, and so he had to go to one that catered to that audience, and so 2 makes sense.
right,
And so that's important to him. Just like the other client I had, the lady who was divorced and goes out to dinner. Dining out is her happy place. That brings her such joy. I'm
right,
not going to remove that, but we do need to talk about, if you want to get out of this debt, all of it is every day it's a decision,
hmm,
and a lot of people, they don't realize that you're the one that can make it better. When you calculate your net worth, people like gasp, oh, I can't believe that's all I have, and I'm this old and I should be further. But I don't sweat it. Don't sweat it, because all it is, it's a data point. And the,
right,
the beautiful thing is that you have the power to make it go up or down
Mhm.
based on the decisions that you make in your life. And the more you educate yourself, the stronger position you're in. And then you can do more, put the mask on yourself first and help other people. And the last thing I'll say, especially because you guys have kids and single parents, is to make sure that, yes, we want to help our kids with college and a car and these things. And because let's be honest, things are much more expensive than when we were
Oh, yeah.
going through the same thing. But don't forget to fund your retirement, your financial freedom, what that looks like, because they can take loans out for college and invest in themselves. But when you get to retirement, the last thing you want is to go, I was doing so much for you, I didn't take care of me,
Yep.
Right.
and now I got to go live with you. They don't want that, and you don't want that, you know,
Hey, hold on now.
cramping their style.
I had them for 21 years. It's their turn.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yep. Yep. So during your workshops, what are some topics you cover?
Yeah, so I do. I do them like mini trainings, you know. So I tell people like this is how you calculate net worth. This is why it's important. Net worth is your basic formula of your total assets minus your total liabilities. And we have that conversation about what does that mean? And like I said, it's just a data point, you know. You could calculate it every month and it'll change, you know. Houses, the value go up and down, stock market goes up and down. The money you invest, when it's down, invest. When it goes up, maybe you take a little out if you're retired.
Right.
The other thing we talk about is your credit score. Credit score is very important. A lot of people don't understand why this is important, but it's based off of your credit history.
Yes.
And so the higher your credit score, the better position you're in if you need to get a car loan, a home loan. That's really, really important, you know, because if you keep a good, nice, high credit score, you know, what is it? It's like 670 and above, or 650 and above.
Right.
If you keep it high, maybe you get a car loan and they'll approve you for, let's say, a 4% loan. I'm making numbers up. But if you have a low credit score, well, that tells them that you're not very good at managing your money, and they're going to be taking more risk, which means they want more money up front. So maybe they're going to give you a 7% loan.
Yeah.
You know, why should you have to give them more extra money? You know, so just
Right.
keeping that credit score. And the other thing, especially, you know, Alex, because you guys just went through a separation, if you guys commingle money, when people go through divorce, one of the most important things to do is make sure you pull your credit history and go through all of that and make sure that what is listed there actually is yours.
Yep.
So, because when I went through mine, there were a couple of things where I'm like, that's not mine. And so you have to, you know, do the work and document who you talked to, when it was, what time it was, you know, what happened, document everything. Very, very important. So we talk about that. And then the last thing we talk about, and we've already had this conversation about cash flow. Cash flow is a gold mine of data, of what you, in your mind, tell yourself, oh, these are the things that are important. Like all of us are single parents, so our kids are important to us, right? But when we look at our spending, sometimes it's like, well, my kids are important, or this business is important, but my money is sneaking out to, you know, other things of, I went out to dinner a whole bunch of times, or I didn't feel like cooking, and so I'm just going to go get takeout. And so, you know, looking at your cash flow and being honest with yourself and making sure that the money you're spending is going toward the things that are important, and that you keep yourself a little bit of fun money in there and celebrate the wins. Because for me, my goal is to still keep joy in your life, but without sacrificing tomorrow's security. And those two things are really important. And the more you have cash in your hand that's liquid, that you can leverage, the more that you can, you know, you have your FU money, you know, that if you don't like something, you can say, you know, I have choices, I have options.
Yep.
And that's what I want people to feel. I want them to know that they have options. And so there's a lot of education around how do you leverage these different data points? Why are they important? And how do you measure so you know when you have FU money? And a lot of that is based on what's important to that person. Can I say FU? We're going to
You can say
out.
yeah, it's fine.
Okay. I'm like, we can bleep that out later.
We're far enough into it that you could have said the real word. Like,
Oh, okay.
that you can't say the real word, 15 seconds or something like that, and then you can say whatever. So yeah, you're fine.
But you know, like that is really the starting point for me, is so that, you know, we're having those conversations. And when I coach people, it's never for me to tell them what to do. For me, it's more, I'm more of a teach you how to fish. I am more an educate you based on what's important to you. So I meet you where you are. There's
Yep.
never any judgment. That's a lot of times people, they're like, oh, I don't want
Oh,
to tell you because I'm embarrassed. I feel shame. I feel guilt. I started with a $250,000 of debt, so there's nothing you're going to say to me that I'm not going to understand.
Right.
Every life happens to all of us, and what sets us apart from others is that you're going to get up. You have to get up.
yep.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to lay there, and then what? You're just going to wallow. I mean, that doesn't sound like any fun. So let's take responsibility and figure out where do we go from here. You know.
That's a
Exactly.
pretty good perspective too, because a lot of like you see a couple of YouTubers and stuff that are like financial coaches or something like that, and they are always being very brutal about stuff. Like, oh, you got to cut out all subscriptions. You got to cut out this. You got to eat
Yeah.
rice and beans. You got to eat ramen. You got to take all your finances and do a drastic shift all of a sudden. You're like, that's not realistic. I mean,
No.
how long? Like, because even in the weight loss world, how long are you going to be able to maintain that much of a change? It's
Yeah.
not going to become mental, and it's
Right.
just it's,
Yeah.
it's
You
unreasonable.
know what? It's funny when so after I had my second, you have all that baby weight, right, that you're trying to lose. So it's kind of like, like you wanted to lose your weight. I
Mhm.
came across this article about this international model that had just had her second child, and she had, I think, 4 months to get back to her bikini body because she had a photo shoot coming up that summer. And right, and so she had 40 pounds to lose to get to this bikini body because that's her profession, her job.
Mhm.
And so I never forgot this article because she talked about how 6 days a week she was very strict. She ate very light diet. She did yoga. She would put one baby in the baby Bjorn and the other one in the walker. And then she would go up and down the hills in her neighborhood and just walk for a couple hours. She'd do yoga. She would do Pilates. She would, like all this exercise because she's, the 6 weeks, 6 days, very strict.
Yep.
Yeah.
But on the seventh day, beer, wine, ribs, chips, whatever she wanted, she could eat it. She could eat as much as she wants. She could have a whole cheesecake. I mean, she could
Yeah.
just have it 1 day a week.
Yep.
And it's kind of like what you're saying, Alex, and it's so true, is that you can't be so strict and that you don't, because you will go crazy.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
If you
You
give
will.
yourself that one day, that one thing, to treat yourself, I mean, otherwise, what's the point of doing any of this,
Exactly.
if you're not enjoying yourself? I mean, and I had another friend of mine, he was saying that, he goes, for him, travel was everything.
Mhm.
It's so, so important to him that he loved, loved, loved traveling, traveled all the time, as much as he could, even his job required travel. And he said to me, he goes, I do it now because sometimes when I travel, and he was in, I don't know, in Europe somewhere, but he said he saw this tour bus pull up and it was a bunch of people, I don't know, in their 80s, 70s, I don't even know, but they had canes, walkers, they couldn't get around really well. And it really made him just think about, like travel's really important to me. And I want to be able to do it now while I can, while I have energy and I can get around and I'm physically able. I don't want to, work my whole life, keep my head down,
Yep.
also I can get to retirement and then I don't have any
Right.
physical energy to do these things, and that was important to him. So he weaved that into his life, so it's important, to think about these things, I mean, my goal this year is to get people to think different, to think
Yeah.
differently about money. I mean, what is money really? Money, you can't eat it, you can't live under it, you can't wear it, I mean, unless you're a movie star. you know I mean, money is just something that you earn, that you trade it for the things that are really important to you, and at the end of the day, what's really important to any of us, our kids, our family,
Mhm.
our friends, our health,
Yep.
you know I mean,
Exactly.
that's what matters, it's how you feel, right? I mean, you could buy stuff, but you buy something and then it's like a week later you're like, nah, yeah, I have it. Eh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or,
You
or,
know?
or like in my case, when I buy something and it's of value, I'm like, oh man, did I just really spend that money?
Right.
You know?
Buyer's remorse.
Yeah. Oh, I deal with that all the time. Like I just bought this new computer for the podcast, and like this computer costs like $3,000, and it's like that's a lot of money.
Mhm. Yeah.
Or or that Bowflex in the background that's got stuff hanging on it.
You know how old
Oh,
you know how old that Bowflex is though?
I know. I'm
I've
just
had
trying
that.
to give you
I've had that for like
a
dang, like 10 years, 13 years. I've had it for a
Yeah,
long
it's
time.
only gotten used maybe 5 out of the 10 years.
Oh no, it's been used a lot. The bars are all bent on it and stuff now. And now I got me and Alex have a gym membership, so we go to the gym together. So it's
nice.
like, oh man, now I got all this equipment for no reason. Time to sell
Well, I
it.
mean, you guys live up north. I mean, you get snow days, don't you? It's like,
Oh,
oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to go outside, but you have your Bowflex. Alex could come over, and you
Yeah,
guys could do a workout at your house.
right,
I also go to the gym. It doesn't matter if it's a 5 feet of snow or not. I'm so excited.
right.
Oh, really?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah,
got a 4-wheel drive truck. I'm fine.
yeah. And we work in the snow, so it's
Oh, that's
yeah,
right. That's right.
it could be like 10 feet of snow outside, and we'll still be at work working. Then they'll call us and be like, "Hey, bring the trucks back. It's too dangerous. We've
Yeah.
already been
See,
out here for 3 hours."
so I can tell you in North Carolina, it doesn't snow here enough. Well, in the Piedmont, I'm not going to talk about Western, but here in the Piedmont and East, it doesn't snow here enough. And so we don't have snow equipment. I mean, they salt the roads. So when we know there's snow coming, school lets out early, there's no school days, and it could be, literally could be this, it could be nothing. But because we don't have the equipment,
Right. It makes
they
sense.
just the whole city just shuts down, and so you see like droves of people going to get their bread and wine and whatever else they're gonna, and
Whatever.
then just hunker.
They think it's just gonna close down, and
Well, I
Yeah.
mean,
oh man, that's funny.
I was the same way down in Georgia when I lived down in Georgia. It was the same way. Like if they got an inch, not even an inch, they would shut down everything,
Yeah.
all statewide. 'Cause they
Yeah,
don't have nothing
and
for it.
well, and I mean, people come from New York, they're like, I could drive in this, but
It's like,
the roads are not. It's not like where you guys are, like it could be 5 feet and you just are out there shoveling and it's nothing because you have all the equipment.
right.
I mean, I used to live, my previous house, my next door neighbors had their garage door open. We were sitting there talking, and they came from New York. And I asked them, I said, "What's that thing in your garage hanging on the wall?" And he looked at me and he smiled and he goes, Monica, I took that thing and I tied it to my front bumper. My wife and I got in the car and we decided we don't want to do this winter stuff anymore, this snow. So we got in the car, we started driving south, and we got someplace that people didn't know what that thing was. We knew we were home. I go, okay. I go, well, so what is it? And he goes, it's a snow shovel.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, I'm just going to say in my defense, I grew up in South Florida, okay?
Oh,
So we didn't have snow shovels. We have sand shovels.
Well, yeah. It's funny. Yeah, we definitely know what snow is.
Yeah.
We know what snow is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. Like I've always wondered, what is people that don't come from snow? How do they look at our snow? Like, what do they think
Yeah.
about our snow? And
I think it's crazy. I mean, like I just sometimes I see these YouTube videos where they open the door and the snow is like up to here,
Yep.
and they just throw their cat out, and the cat's like, no, and they run back in.
yeah,
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine that. But I can tell you about hurricanes and
Oh,
living in a place where, and sure you guys are like, I wouldn't want to do that. I mean,
No, heck no.
no,
yeah.
we've only had 2 hurricanes that hit us right now.
Tornadoes.
No, hurricanes. We were hit with Hurricane Sandy,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Florida. And
I
then
thought you meant us locally. Sorry, Sean.
yeah, we were hit with one more, and I forgot what that one was. But yeah, we don't know what hurricanes are. We don't
Yeah,
even
that's
really know
crazy.
what tornadoes are. So
Yeah, yeah, and knock on wood, we haven't seen any of those here.
Mhm.
There
yeah,
was one in South Florida, God, long time ago, and that was really crazy. That once in a very blue moon, like you guys get hurricanes, it's
yeah,
not common, but yeah, it is kind of freaky,
yeah.
you know.
Last year was the most tornadoes we've had around here.
Yep.
right? Last year, yeah, we
It
had
was
two.
like really been years. I mean, because like we don't get because we live in hill country, so we have a
Okay.
lot of lakes and valleys. So they don't really have a chance to really form because there's not a lot of open area. But last year they actually had one touchdown pretty close by to us, and it was pretty bad. It was
Yeah.
like, holy crap! Like, what do we do with this situation? We not planned for that.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
like we're in Oklahoma or something where you
yeah,
get tornadoes every week. You know.
Right. Yeah. You just go in the basement, shut it all down, and you know what to do. But yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I think like no, there's I don't know if there's any place on earth that you can go that doesn't have something.
Mhm.
Everybody has something or a couple of things. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
just what you're used to. You know.
Right, right. Hurricanes got to be the worst, though. They have to be the worst.
No, I don't think
You
so.
you don't think so?
No, I
Oh,
think a tornado to me sounds pretty scary because
oh yeah.
that just comes out of nowhere. Sirens start going. At least with a hurricane, you're watching it. You're drinking your Pepsi, soda, whatever, and you're watching it, and you're like, okay, should we pack up and leave? What do you want to do? And you have time,
Right,
Mhm.
you
right.
know. But like
Yeah.
earthquakes, tornadoes,
Oh yeah.
it just happens, and you just there, you know.
It's funny because we do get tornado wind, like the wind of a tornado,
Right. Right.
Yeah,
but we just don't get the funnels.
right.
So we'll
I
get
hear you.
really strong winds, like 70, 80 miles an hour winds, and a lot of stuff around us closed down because of it.
Yeah.
Like, I know with our job, we can't go to the landfill because they think the wind will blow our trucks over, and
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
Mhm.
yeah.
Because
So
in landfills, they have higher elevation than most of the surrounding area.
yep.
So any of the high winds is going to be amplified up there because they're on top of the hill, basically. So, and we actually have one of the bigger landfills around here. So our elevation is technically more than most elevation in the whole entire county.
Huh. Wow, I
Right.
never really think about that, but
Oh
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I can see it. I can
yeah.
see it.
Now, do you have hills and mountains around where you're at, or not really?
Um, no, not really. I mean, we start going a little west, you'll start seeing rolling hills.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're kind of, we're in the middle, so
Oh, okay.
we're flanked by, beach and mountains. So it's nice here. Things are, a couple hours west, a couple hours east. You get a little bit of both. We're starting to have like little vineyards pop up here and there.
Oh,
Mhm.
Yay, global warming.
how hot is it there?
You know what? So today it's kind of weird. I actually went out of the house and it was warmer outside than it was inside. So it's 61 right now
That's
for
cool.
us, which is really unusual because come tomorrow, our high will be 50 and we'll be back to between 30 and 50 all next week.
Mm,
But for whatever reason, I guess Super Bowl Sunday,
won't be hot.
we're gonna be
Awesome.
nice with the weather. So yeah, it
That's
was gorgeous. I actually went walking at the lake this morning. Ah, beautiful,
wow.
beautiful day.
It's
Yeah,
29 here, so
yeah. See, yeah, yeah.
And descending.
and
Yeah,
it's
see, and
probably
that's the thing, right? Is like, I mean, that's the nice thing about living in a warm, like grew up in South Florida, shorts, t-shirts, blue jeans. I mean, like easy, easy, easy. You got to go like where you guys are. I feel like a Sherpa. You got to wear like 10 pounds of clothes, gloves. You got to wear your hat and ears. I mean, oh
we
my
just
Or
wear
a
God.
t-shirt.
we just wear
Or
sweaters.
yeah, or yeah, yeah.
We just wear
Just put on a
sweaters.
t-shirt and jeans, we're like, "Yeah, this
Right,
is normal to us,
right.
Oh, I
We
see. So you see me coming, you're like, there's that Floridian coming along.
Yep.
yeah,
Well, I mean, like,
we know when out of towners come here.
well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And the
Yep.
best way to figure out, like, if you're from the deep south, if you go way too north, if you have a bikini with you, you're never going to be able to use it anywhere,
Yeah,
because you're literally going to be nothing but snow country.
yeah.
Yeah. It,
E- Even in the summer times, like even in our summer times, I mean, we get up to like 80, 90, but
Yeah,
that's
sometimes.
cold to a lot of people. Like it's like what the heck?
yeah. I never complain about the heat.
Mhm.
It doesn't bother me, but when it gets cold, I cannot, even like when we have these 30, 40 days, I have a space heater under my desk and I'll just be working with the space heater and my feet are still cold, and I'm like working away.
Trying to stay warm. That's funny. Yep.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this has been fun. I mean, I definitely loved having you on.
Oh
It's
yeah.
been a really good story. Your stories are awesome,
Thank
and
you. Thanks.
definitely
And
everybody
the
go
advice
buy
is
her
really
book.
good, too.
Yeah, Now,
Yeah.
how do you sign up for your classes? Where does people go to sign up for your classes?
So yeah, so they can go to my website, grabyourslice.com, and just go to the one-on-one coaching, and you can get my calendar. And everybody listening, you can sign up for a 30-minute free consultation. Happy to talk with folks. The book you can get on it's also Grab Your Slice of Financial Independence. You can grab it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. You can, if you're interested in bulk, to hand out as gifts. I've had people do that. It's really interesting. I can always talk to people about that. But yeah, I'm happy to give people advice, and I'll tell you, I'm a soft sell. So a lot of times people come to me and I give it free because I want to know, do they want to work with me or not? Do I want to refer them to somebody else? And some people, one conversation, they're good because they're very motivated. They just need like one little thing where they need a little help. And then I have other people, they just want to know where they are. They just want just some foundational stuff. And so I have my program is 2 phases. So everybody goes through phase 1. And for some people that's enough, going through that phase 1. And then other people, they have that phase 1, but they're not quite sure where to go from there. And so I'll work with them. But really, when I work with people, no average is like 3-4 months. I teach them enough where they feel really empowered and excited. And so when they look at their money, it's not scary, doesn't give them anxiety. They actually feel like they're empowered. And so 3-4 months is like my average of working with people that need the extra, And then I have people that we work together and then they leave, and then 6 months they'll say, hey, can I do just a one-off? And and we can do that too. I make it as flexible as possible because I recognize that everybody's in a different stage or in a different phase.
Right.
Yeah, so married couples, I absolutely hard rule that both of them have to come, even though one of them manages the finances.
Yep. So,
Both of them still need to come
Yes.
to all meetings. So that's a hard rule. Some people are like, you're not for me, and other people are like, oh yeah, it's okay. And so I had one couple, I'll tell you, they were really sweet. The wife came to me, and because so the husband always managed the money in the relationship, and they were very close to becoming empty nesters. And after 24 years, she wanted to learn how to manage finances. She really never did it. But it's kind of like when you take a dance class, you don't want your spouse telling you, you didn't lead, you stepped on my toe. No. It's,
Right.
so she wanted me to do this. And I said the same thing, your husband has to come. So she was like, no problem. We get on a video call, and the two of them are sitting on the sofa, and she's leaning into the conversation, and he's sitting there like this, leaning and the whole time, the conversation, my very first time meeting him, lovely couple, but the first time, and the whole time he was sitting there going, well, Monica didn't tell us that we had to do this. And she's like, honey, it was in the email that she sent. Did you not read the email? And he was like, well, this is, obviously you just think that I just don't know what I'm doing. She's like, honey, that's not it at all, And so poor thing, so it's like my job to get him to understand that this isn't about blame, judgment. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's more about, she just wants to learn.
Yeah.
So, we get past that meeting, and she's like, why are you attacking her? Like, there's no reason to be so defensive. So I send them another email, and I give them homework to do, and and I give tools and stuff to make it as easy as possible. And the next meeting was 4 weeks later, and he goes, Monica, I read some of the stuff, the books. I absolutely looked those things up. My God, they were so good. And I loved your book, and oh, that article you sent really hit home. And my kids are going to be in college, and then he was doing all this talking, and his wife was like, hey, time out. Like, I'm the one that wanted her. And so he became my biggest fan all of a sudden, and was just so engaged, like, talk about the subscriptions, because he's I forget where he's from, but somewhere in Europe, and so she's a U.S. citizen, and they've been married. So he gets a lot of subscriptions for things that are in Europe,
Mhm.
but also things that are here. And he had like 20 or 25 subscriptions, a lot. And like $2 here, $3
Yep.
there, a couple of 10 and 11. You know how it goes.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I said to him, I go, that's a lot of subscriptions. Maybe you need to make a list. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. It's just $1 here and $2 there. And so I went and I made a list of all the subscriptions. And he did not realize that it was coming out to just over $200 a month.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm like, well, then times 12. And he was like, okay, you've made your point. You've made your point. And the other thing they learned, because they had never, so they had, when you're married, you have the house expenses,
Yep.
but, and they were both working, but, so he paid the house expenses and then of course his stuff, going out to get, clothes or lunch with friends.
Yep.
But she was working and she had her own checking and savings, right? Well, it was the very first time in 20 some odd years that I put everything together and I started looking at what they were spending in the house. And they had no idea that they were spending $2,000 a month in groceries.
Wow.
None. They were looking at each other like, that's like $1,000 they just found.
Right.
And they knew exactly why and where they could cut right away. When they saw that, they were looking at each other like, what? I didn't. And she's like, oh, but that's the power of looking at your cash flow. That is the power right there. It's $1,000 that you just found.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
What
So, and then, and then not even this adding in the subscriptions, if you just cut even half of those,
Right.
Right.
so
You-
little changes.
I definitely understand why you'd have both go because one might spend money differently than the other, and
Right.
But with both of them going, you could find out where both of them are spending the money at.
Yeah, and not only that, you're brought up in a house that has its own, feeling about money. Like my parents were very entrepreneurial. If you didn't have the cash, they weren't buying things.
Right.
But I ended up marrying somebody who I want to spend everything now because I just want to do what I want to do. I didn't get to do anything fun as a child.
Yeah.
So I want to do everything now. And they were just spending willy-nilly. We did not match, nor did we try to figure out how to come together, and so those things, those types of conversations are important too.
Yeah. 'Cause I like to save. Me personally, I like to save money. I love money. I love having a lot of money. I don't really
Yeah.
like spending money, but
Yeah.
I mean, I know bills are there and you got to pay for stuff, but you definitely got to spend money.
Yeah.
But I
You
like
do.
to save. I love seeing a lot of money in the account. I like seeing money grow.
Yeah.
It's just something that I've always been interested in, and that's why I do a lot of research. And that's why when I found you, I was like, hey, we got to get her on the show. And I was like, let me start messaging her. And then I read your book, and I was like, oh man, this is awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you.
definitely an honor to have you on.
Yeah, no, this has been a lot of fun. This has been a lot of fun. And I'm very open to coming back,
Oh yeah,
As a matter of
sure.
fact, you have people that, give you questions. We can even do a Q&A
There you go.
Yeah.
and answer people's very specific questions. I'm happy to do that too. So
Definitely.
just no
Hopefully-
investment advice.
Right.
We'll leave that to Sean.
Yeah. No, I don't give. I only give Alex. I only help Alex out a little bit. Like I'll see something that pops up, and it's like,
I'm
Dude,
still
that
waiting
looks
for
like a
Sheba
good
to
idea.
take off, Sean.
huh?
I'm still waiting for Sheba to take off.
Yeah, I know. That's the crypto. But I mean, I always look at different things, because there's always a way to make money. You just
Oh,
got to
yeah.
be open to looking at it, And
Yeah.
if you're not open, then you'll never make anything. So
Right.
you'll only
Yeah.
make your paycheck every week. And
Yeah, just make it a
right.
Yeah, just make it a yes. And the other thing I was going to say, is kind of Alex, and to your point about, doing more cooking at home. When we went through COVID and everything was shut down and you couldn't go anywhere. Tell you what, because I was working a 9 to 5 then. A lot of my coworkers, they had no idea how much they were spending going out to lunch with the guys. They just couldn't believe how much extra money there was in the account. So if anything we can relate to, people can think back on that and realize
Mhm.
that was
Yeah.
kind of nice. That was one thing that was working. you know.
Right. That's
So
that's one of the things that I really don't do. I've never really been big on eating out. I don't really like
yeah.
fast food. Well, it's kind of like my own thing because like I always think people touch my food.
Oh,
So in my
They
mind,
do.
yeah, they
they
do.
do. Yeah.
So, like it messes with me because I'm like a germaphobe. I don't like people touching my food. And
Gotcha.
if I'm cooking my own food, I know I wash my hands like a million times before I touch it. So
Yeah.
I feel safer with me cooking my own food than other
Yeah.
people cooking it. So
Yeah. And you know
that
what goes in it, and you can, less cream, less the salt, less, all
yeah,
that stuff that extra calories that you don't need,
Absolutely.
you know, just be more healthy and being healthy is a money saver too because you
we
don't
did.
have to go to the doctor as much, you don't have medication, you don't, all that stuff too.
Unless
So
unless you go to gas stations and try to get healthy food because it's
yeah, there you go.
super expensive.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, you're
it's
spending
crazy.
$10.
Like you can go to a gas station and buy a cheeseburger and it's like like $3 or $4. You go to
Yeah.
the same gas station and buy like some celery or something that's like $10.
Yeah.
It's like what the heck? Why they'd rather have me eat the unhealthy food than the healthy food. So
Yep.
yeah, it's definitely yeah. Healthy is definitely better, but it's more expensive in gas stations and stuff. So
I
yeah,
hear you.
We definitely appreciate you being on and sharing your stories and experiences, and also what you do. It's very inspiring.
yes,
Thank
definitely.
you.
It
Thanks.
definitely is.
Yeah,
So
and I'll send you guys some links,
Yep.
and you can share it with your audience. And yeah, folks want to reach out. I'm happy to chat with people one on one, and it's just a half an hour of your time, so it
yeah,
doesn't cost you anything.
yeah, definitely send it because I'll share it with everybody. I'll even share it
Absolutely.
on my Facebook wall for you.
Oh yeah, there you go. There
Right?
you go. All
Okay.
right.
So everybody
All
have a
right,
good
guys.
one. Yeah.
Don't hit leave yet. We still gotta.
Yeah. I just stopped it. Yeah. Hang on.
We
Let
always
me.
forget to tell people on Riverside when we're done recording, it'll pop up a message, but don't hit the leave button just yet until we get all things uploaded because
Yeah.
it downloads from your computer to the server and then
Yeah.
uploads to us. So
It's pretty crazy how it works. It's really
Yeah.
nice though.